following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA network, and welcome to our WrestleMania weekend coverage here. This is the second show that we're covering from WrestleMania weekend in Los Angeles, California. I'm your host, California. This is Juicy Boy. How are you, bro?
Dude, I'm fantastic. I'm really excited. It's the biggest weekend of wrestling all year. And I mean, it was quite an interesting show here. This Impact Cross New Japan Pro Wrestling multiverse event here. And yeah, I checked out the pre-show. I know that you did not, so I'm happy to go through that quickly if you want me to start us off with.
I can, but before we get there, Impact versus NJPW Multiverse United, March 30th, 2023, Globe Theatre in Los Angeles. 652 people in attendance. Juicy Boy, I did not watch the pre-show. Take it away, bro.
Yeah, so we started off with Uemura versus Gabriel Kidd. I actually thought that for a pre-show match, this was pretty good because they kept it basic, but everything they did was tight and physical.
Toy.
And I really liked that they wrestled in accordance with their position on the card, so they didn't do anything that would outshine anything else that was going to be on. I gave it a C+. And then before the show officially went on the air, there was a funny, because I watched this live, in real time. So there was a funny little awkward moment in between this pre-show match and the start of the main show where they didn't cut away to anything and the cameras were still just on and the camera was just on the ring, but you could hear all the audio of all the crew.
Oh, really?
Production crew and everything talking clearly and like discussing what they were doing, and it took them like ages. Like it was like this for like 5 minutes, and it took them ages to figure out what had happened and finally mute it and then cut away to something else before the show finally started. I was like, that how embarrassing. Anyway, let's move on though. So yeah, that was the pre-show match that I saw. That was as much as I saw on the live feed that I watched. I don't know if there was anything on before that, but
I'm not sure either, bro. But anyway, we start the show off here. Impact X Division title is a scramble match. I thought a scramble match meant that there was a time limit and certain people, but maybe this is a different version. It's a multi-man match. Trey Miguel defends against Rocky Romero, Frankie Kazarian, Rich Swann, Clark Connors, and Kevin Knight. Juicy Boy, what did you think of the opening contest here on this show?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I thought this was a pretty good match. My overall rating is a B+. The multi-man headlock shoulder tackle spot pissed me off, and it was dumb. But at least it was followed up with some decent technical stuff after that. With the exception of the group headlock thing, it felt like more of a contest between X Division cruiserweights than a spot fest. There were splashes of the flashy Lucha Libre flippy stuff throughout it, but in between that, those flashes of high-flying brilliance, it was all very hard-hitting, and it reminded me a lot of kind of early Ring of Honor in a lot of ways, more than just a flippy-dippy gymnastics competition. And I thought that it was a great heel win for Trey Miguel. I love that they told the story throughout the match of him kind of avoiding getting involved in stuff, and then it just every so often he'd come in and pick a moment to try to pick the bones like a scavenger, and he basically did nothing to
like a vulture.
This title retention here. And also, quick side note, I was very impressed with Kevin Knight and look forward to seeing him wrestle again. So that's that.
That's cute. Thank you for that. I'm liking that Ian Riccoboni was on commentary with Tom and Matt. I thought that was fun. So I'm not a fan of matches like this. Everyone knows that I'm not a fan of matches like this. Yes, the multiple headlocks, that was a problem. And I wrote immediately, I'm already not into this. I'm in one of my moods. I watched the Bloodsport show earlier and I enjoyed that. So I should have been in a better mood here, but I think it's just because it kicked off with this. Look, Frankie Kazarian is always good. You know, I like watching Frankie do his thing. But, you know, we have this headlock thing, and then we have everyone doing an arm drag, and then everyone does a drop kick at the same time to the middle of the ring for a big stalemate. And I want this match to end already. I don't like stuff like that. It's too contrived, too fake.
The obvious cooperation, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. And like, you know, Trey Miguel, I sing his praises every time I see him on an Impact pay-per-view because his matches tend to omit that kind of thing. And you can see all the intricacies and the little laws of all the little things that he does where it doesn't seem overly fake. A lot of things that he does, you know, require happenstance and things make sense when they happen. Not people standing there waiting for a dive, etc. Then I saw Trey Miguel hit a double Japanese arm drag on two guys who were already like mid flip before he hooked the arms, you know, like it's just okay. Like maybe I'm nitpicking too much, and I'm sorry if anyone out there is bothered by that, but that's just how I feel. What was with the lighting? The ring wasn't very well lit. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that they needed like a lighting rig up above. You know, they needed to bring something in. Because I've seen that PWG also hosts events there, and it's also the same lighting for that. So yeah, I also was like, man, it's too dark. You need the ring itself to have better lighting.
I just have the house lights on, for something like that, if that's the case. But I don't know. But you know, like when they're on the outside, I was like you can barely see like anyone out there doing anything. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out, that I thought that was strange. And now that you mentioned PWG, and I thought of that, reminded me of that Chris Jericho clip where they were wrestling in slow motion the other week that everyone shat on. Now everyone's copying a springboard leg drop from Kazarian. The third one, though, was so obviously going to be interrupted. Sorry again for the nitpicking.
I popped for it that it was going to be interrupted. That's one of the things, like you said in your Bloodsport review just a bit earlier, that you like that wrestling involves things that are obviously impossible if it was real. That's one of those things to me. I knew that the third springboard was going to get counted, but I liked it anyway. Like I popped for it anyway. Sorry, go
on. So then they're all trying to pin Kazarian over and over and over. And again, it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I know.
And I was just like, okay, this is just spots. Now there's a Tower of Doom. Let's fill every fucking cliche we possibly can have into a match like this that we've picked on, that everyone picks on for years. It's always the Tower of Doom. Then there's the dives, etc. And you know, I don't know what the theme of this match was, like doing something over and over again. So Rocky Romero's clotheslines in the corner, one to the corner, to the next corner, to the next corner. Like those clotheslines in the corner can suck my dick. There was a moment that Ian Riccoboni, I don't know who he was talking about, but he was talking about, he just lost the Lucha Blue Boosters fucking blah belt. Like, who cares, Ian? No one knows what that belt is. I'm an asshole. I liked the finish, though. I did like the way Trey Miguel got the win there. So, okay. All right. There we go. I'm done. I'm not as angry at the rest of the show. So everyone chill out. But looking at the card, it was killing me. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many multi-person matches.
That's funny because it's funny you say that, because there's other things coming up that pissed me off more than the X Division.
Here's what pissed me off. Okay. Let's move forward here, bro. 8-man tag team matchup. Alex Coughlin who was on the Bloodsport show. Sammy Callihan, Fred Rosser, and PC motherfucking my boy, taking on Team Filthy of JR Kratos and Tom Lawlor, Eddie Edwards, and Joe Hendry. So it's a mix of NJPW Strong and Impact in both teams. Baby faces versus heels. Very nice. Nice touch. Props to Kratos for going to war with Davey Boy Smith Jr. not long before this show began. And PCO made his entrance, and I wrote he's already the best on the show. I barely recognized Sammy Callihan with the shaved head.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at first I actually hadn't really figured out who was in the match because I skipped the entrances to get to this review. And I was like, oh, didn't even realize it was him. I thought it was interesting to see how Fred Rosser has improved in the ring. He clearly has. But then again, what I saw in WWE, he was probably handcuffed to what he could do back then anyway. Obviously, big fan of Joe Hendry. Alex Coughlin again. This guy, he really impressed me today because 2 shows and he's done these feats of strength that someone his size, you wouldn't think that. Like, not saying he's small, but like he doesn't look like he's jacked, you know? And he's already had he did a very good job. I was not a fan of the suplex tease spot between the two of them, Joe Hendry and Alex Coughlin, though, where they just went back and forth and back and forth. But PCO was the star of this for me. Frankensteiner, fantastic. Unfortunately, the dive that Kratos did to the outside, you couldn't really see it because of the fucking lighting. Yeah. PCO, again, some great stuff with the moonsault to the outside. Hated the double fall away from Joe Hendry because Coughlin kind of to jump up onto
noticed it.
Don't do it. The referee does not care about tags at all. And I'm going to talk about that later with this multi-tag team title match. PCO salt. And yes, it was over. Glad PCO was featured in the finish. Juicy Boy, take it away.
Yeah, so for me, this was entertaining. It was hard hitting. I found the dives in this match to be far-fetched and annoying, and you could see all the guys grouped up there waiting to be caught on every occasion. But other than that, this for me was like the fun, crazy match, which was wild and, you know, and groovy. And so it delivered in that sense for me. And yep, there's the rating. It was hidden behind the corner. I gave this match a B-.
Very good, bro. I think it's funny that have you got notes that you like hand wrote?
Like handwritten on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Taking it back to the 90s, brother. All right, let's move forward here, bro. This was a nice one. Moose takes on Jeff Cobb. Props to Cobb again because he already wrestled earlier in the day. I think he wrestled like maybe twice before this. I don't know. I have a feeling he did. But anyway, take it away, bro. What did you think of this one here?
First thing in my notes, man. 2 big bulls going at it. It's a horse fight. Yeah. And it's got a Juicy Boy recommendation. Go out of your way to check it out because my description won't be able to do it fucking justice. But there was a little bit of obvious cooperation in the beginning here and there with what they were doing with the trading off in the shoulder blocks and the strikes that they were no-selling.
The bing, boom, boom.
It seemed like they were sort of going through the motions a little bit with it. But then as the match got going, the physicality picked up in turn. And I think this delivered. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know
the handwritten notes. It's making me laugh.
I just was saying, I think this match delivered on what every fan would think when they see that this match is going to be on the card. Like as soon as I saw that Moose was wrestling Jeff Cobb, I was like, oh, this is going to be two
You're
horses.
rubbing your hands together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be two big fucking Rhinos.
Two big bastards.
So yeah, I gave it a B plus. This might have been my favorite match of the show. Like, I
Ooh.
really enjoyed it.
Lovely, lovely. I loved how at the beginning there was this stalemate between the two of them, but then Moose just cut the shit and hit him with this beautiful drop kick. And Cobb has been very impressive. He hit a standing moonsault. Did not see that coming. Definitely thought it was the best match on the show thus far. They did a superplex, bro. That's a lot of meat.
That was nuts. That was nuts.
And I love the big collision where they both went flying out the ring, you know, to show how much of a stalemate it was. I really think Moose should have won. To be perfectly honest with you, I feel like he's copped a few too many losses recently, and on a show like this, I think he needed the win. Considering Mike Bailey lost later in the show in the other big singles match, I think one of the Impact guys needed to go over here. That's just me, but maybe they have some sort of deal going because Josh Alexander went over like a whole bunch of guys last year. So, like I think he beat Suzuki and Tomohiro Ishii. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe they keep a tally. But yes, I thought this was great. It was a great finish, and I like that finisher that Cobb has. Moving forward, the shot of the commentators was horrible. I know it was a small building.
Dude, there was a few problems. There was a few problems with the camera. Like, did you notice it kept on cutting to one of the ringside cameras, and you could tell that the people filming at ringside weren't used to filming wrestling. Like, they just brought some camera people that you could definitely tell. Because it was noticeable. There was some wonky shots.
We don't want things that are wonky. And especially this next thing that happened, Gia Mill was backstage looking very cute. She started to try to talk. Couldn't hear anything she said, and then we cut to the next match, which was a four-way between Miyu Yamashita. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. Deonna Purrazzo, Gisele Shaw, and Masha Slamovich. Not Mila Jovovich, Masha Slamovich. Have you got that, juicy boy? Is that in your notes? You've got a name down written.
Yeah, I know who Masha Slamovich is.
Okay, so it's not Mila
Jovovich. I'm aware that they're two different people. I like them both. I like both.
I like Mila more.
Yeah.
Although Masha's cool, but I really like Mila. Anyway, back to wrestling. I liked the beginning of this match, bro. I like that. I wish I remember how they pronounce his surname. I'm just going to say Yamashita. I liked her holding court in the ring and dominating early. There was a spot with Slamovich doing a dive to the outside on two of the ladies, but it was perhaps a step too slow on the uptake. They were waiting a little bit too long for that. And then Gisele Shaw went off the top with a kind of a stupid twirly thing, and I thought that didn't look very good. I just think there were too many multi-person matches on this show. So it's every match so far has been just like, except for this Moose and Cobb match. It's just, there's a heap of multi-person spots, you know, and everything felt a bit same for me. So I thought that the ladies match was a little disjointed as it wore on. Masha did hit a huge destroyer, which, you know, got the crowd on their feet a bit, but Deonna gets the win to face Mickey again at Rebellion, the next pay-per-view. So don't have many notes on it. You know, nothing bad, but, you know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was just, just there for me. What about you, bro? What did you think?
I thought everything in this was very solid. I thought all the work in it was very smooth. You know, I thought everybody worked hard. I know that's kind of a generic statement, but that's really how I felt about it. I didn't feel like it had a ton of heat on it because it was a multi-person match. And individually, I could see that each person in it was talented. Like there was a couple of moments where like Gisele Shaw took a couple of strikes that just whomped her. And there was a few other moments where they just frickin' went for it with strikes, and I appreciated that. Can't read my own handwriting here. Ah, that's what it says, of course. I thought this was a very nice win for Deonna Purrazzo because I think that I agreed with the commentators that she's essentially like one of the top female talents in the industry. And I think she needs to be winning, like winning as much as possible, being very selective about, when she loses and where she loses, because I think that she has a future that's bigger than Impact. I really like Impact, but I think Deonna's destined for a bigger stage sooner than later.
Yeah, that fair enough. Good point. Yes, the right person probably won this matchup. Okay. After this, there's I think our one backstage interview of the show. Hubba Gia Miller is with the Bullet Club. And I thought to myself, let's see if they can talk. Chris Bay, I think he needs to give his voice some kind of inflection that makes him sound a bit more interesting than sounding like everybody else. I wasn't offended by Ace Austin's promo either. But there was nothing really there for me, I felt. I did, although, like the fact that Chris Bay tried to pop Gia Miller at the end of the segment. But then I found out, oh, great, there's another multi-fuck match coming next. Really got burned out on the multi-man thing on this show, bro. Impact World Tag Team titles on the line, so we know who's winning ahead of time. The Bullet Club of Ace Austin and Chris Bay defend against Motor City Machine Guns. Aussie Open and TMDK represented by Bad Dude Tito and Shane Haste. Bro, take it away.
Yeah, I also, like, first of all, the Bullet Club promo, like, as we've said before, and as you hear on many wrestling podcasts around the world, a lot of people are just sick of the Bullet Club, where I'm sick of it. It's unnecessary. I think both these guys, Ace Austin and Chris Bay, are good talents, but this promo was like fucking watching a piece of wood drift down the stream. That's what it was.
I kind of find that relaxing.
No, it is relaxing, but this promo was it was fucking boring. So imagine maybe it's not moving down the stream. Maybe it's just leaning against a wall, and that's more
that's a bit better, yeah.
But the tag team title match itself, I was in agreement with you. It's in my notes. Enough with the fucking multi-man matches, dude. Like, seriously, I would have been happy if it was just one of the other teams, whether it be probably Motor City Machine Guns, to be honest. What else does it fucking say here? Obvious cooperating for the dives. This never really got out of the box for me because, as we've been saying, just the burnout on the multi-man. It just, at this point in the show, bro, I was just feeling like all I've seen is just people filling the ring, cluttering the ring, and doing a bunch of dives and flips nonstop. And that's kind of, this match was just the tipping point of that for me. Although I did really enjoy the finishing double team maneuver that was used to win the match by the Bullet Club. So I ended up giving it a C-, even though it was pretty boring for me.
Yeah, I don't mean to be too negative on it, but like, I don't know. Look, I understand with Japanese wrestling, they do a lot of multi-man matches. So I know a lot of people out there that might be watching this be like, oh, you don't get it. Like, they do this all the time. But like, you know what? Like, as far as I'm concerned, I watch a lot of wrestling. This is too much for me. So it didn't take long for this to be what it was going to be. I did like that Shane Haste got a moment to shine. Because he didn't really get to last weekend, I felt at the Impact
they didn't get much to do in this match either. I mean, we've both seen him live Like, I've seen him perform live dozens of times, and he's just so good. And I feel like, man, was given nothing in this multi-man match.
Well, I think he was given a little bit. So, yeah, like he got to do his cannonball in the corner and all that. I like Bad Dude Tito. He pops me. I am a fan. I would, if I had a wrestling company, I'd hire him.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
But this is just not my kind of wrestling, bro. I don't like passing a suplex over to another person. What is the point? Aussie Open. It's twice now you've done something that's disappointed me. And I'm sure a lot of people will be like, oh, come on, man. Like, the hell's sick. Shut up. Like, twice now. It got cool it kind of got cool near the end, but I guess the referees get told not to give a shit about illegal men being in the ring. Because I watched the referee for a period of time in this match, and he looked clueless as to what to do or what he should be doing as they all do these spots. I feel like it made the referee look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And I wrote, just end the match already and put the referee out of his misery, because he's in the real deep in the background, miming, telling someone off for getting in the ring again. And then another guy gets, and he had no fucking power over the match. Like it's, I get that they have all these spots that they want to do. Having a 4-team tag team match, you know, there's going to be times where there's more than one person in the ring, but there were times where people were just getting in the ring and the referee wasn't even fucking doing shit about it.
Yeah.
Which also hurts the spot when you need to have that spot where a referee is stopping someone from getting in. And then you see there's a tag that's taking place on the other side of the ring. And then the referee goes, hey, whoa, because they didn't see the tag in the first place. That kills that spot now because he's just letting people come in willy-nilly.
Yeah, well, if you make the referee look like an idiot in your match, then you subconsciously tell the audience that the entire show is stupid and doesn't matter.
Because wrestling worldwide, right? We have these rules, right? We have these rules. So if one company's not doing it correctly, then it doesn't help everyone else who's doing it correctly. Everyone has to come together and make sure that things like this stay the way that they're supposed to be. Anyway, it was a fine finish to the match, but I had enough. Thank God the last 3 matches were singles matches. Let's get into them. Lio Rush takes on Kushida. I audibly groaned when I saw Lio Rush was in the next match. But it was an interesting start to the match, a matching of pace between the two. I liked Kushida wrapping him up like a pretzel. I'm glad this wasn't just a spot fest to start out. We needed a new flavor here. Lio with a comeback with great flurry and a suicide dive that made sense. It's good to see Lio went somewhere and seems to be sticking around there for a while. I did like Kushida's trap fisherman suplex. That got me quite interested. Loved the finish. The hoverboard lock out of that dive from the top rope from Lio, where he caught him in the lock. That was tight. So this was the palate cleanser I was looking for. Juicy Boy, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, this was match of the night for me. Probably. I felt like this. There were other high-flying matches on this card, but for me, this particular style of junior heavyweight, cruiserweight wrestling that was employed was the art of using quickness and agility as an evasive and defensive tactic. And they were kind of, it's hard to explain the way that they would sort of stitch an evasive roll would then form the beginning of the next offensive maneuver for the person that just made that evasion. So it was, some would say, but it didn't feel choreographed. It felt like they were fluidly adapting to the situation as it arose and having to try to play that chess match with each other as a wrestling match should be, except they were doing all these really nice flourishes and rolls and sort of more flashy stuff. But the principle underneath what they were doing was just classic, wrestling psychology. I feel like Lio Rush works better as an underdog with a bit of sympathy behind him. Like here, he had the arm being worked on and he was selling the arm quite well. That works much better for him, I feel, than being an arrogant, obnoxious heel. Not that he was bad at being a heel, but for me, this was the first time I feel like I'd given a shit about Lio Rush. I feel like the underdog story that they were doing here worked with Lio Rush's style in the ring. And it was a great match, and I actually gave it an A-. So it was my favorite match of this show.
Right, because you mentioned before that Moose and Cobb was getting a Juicy Boy recommendation. Isn't that right?
That's
this match was, you like this match more, but you did not give it a Juicy Boy recommendation.
So I do give it a Juicy Boy recommendation. Go out of your way to check it out because I can't do it justice.
Yeah. Okay. Next matchup, bro. 2 more to go. Almost there. We have gone over 30 minutes now, but that's okay. New Japan Strong Openweight title match. KENTA takes on Minoru Suzuki. So, bro, take it away. What did you think of the matchup between these two combatants?
Okay, when this thing first started, I was pretty excited about it. I like this heel persona that Kent has been doing, and I thought this was going to be a hard hitter. And it was starting out slow, but even though it was slow, they were still going about it in a very physical way. However, very quickly, this thing waned for me and started to drag on for me and just feel like it was taking forever. And I don't know whether it was the placement of the match on the card or whether it's not that I was expecting them to go out there and go a million miles an hour. It's just I didn't really get the psychology behind the story that they were trying to tell, and the commentators were talking about it as if it had all this history behind it. A lot of that context was just lost on me watching the match, and I only gave it a C-. It didn't really, it was just kind of there for me. It wasn't even necessarily that it was bad, it was just not my flavor.
All right, well, fair enough, bro. Because it was pretty slow. I feel like I've seen more of Minoru Suzuki in the last 2 years than I ever would have intended to in a lifetime. And there's not a knock on him, but it just seems like I've seen so much of him in the last couple of years. KENTA, I did like KENTA pissing off Suzuki early in the match, just smacking him in the face and pissing him off. Suzuki, he just feels like he's made out of stone a little bit. His selling's, I guess that's just the way he is. He's strong style and it takes a shitload to fucking make him sell. So yeah, KENTA had a long heat. I fast forwarded through their forearm war. I feel like I've seen that spot too many times. I feel like Minoru Suzuki kind of reminds me of being like a Japanese Bob Backlund. Not wrestling wise, just because he's just an old bloke that's fucking really fit. There was a double stomp. There was a 2 count. I got nothing to say. There was a ref bump with a low blow that followed, and then he put his feet on the ropes to get the win. I liked it because it was something different. But the match itself was. Let's get on to our main event of the evening here, Juicy Boy. It is Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Speedball Mike Bailey, or as other people may know him as Spaceballs Mike Bailey. I'm glad it's Tanahashi versus Mike Bailey in the main event, bro. I would have rather that than the original match, which was supposed to be Mike Bailey against Will Ospreay. That's just me. I was really intrigued to see these two do their thing because it was I guess a mix of a smaller guy with a heavyweight Japanese pro wrestler. So I wanted to see how they went here. There was a nice slow build, but I was waiting for that next gear. We got 10 minutes remaining, waiting for the next gear, and then Bailey hits that Asai moonsault and nearly destroyed himself. That was followed with a very lackluster "This is awesome" chant from the crowd, which I always like to point out. If you're going to chant it, mean it. Don't say "This is awesome." It can't be that awesome. I like Tanahashi selling. I have to give him props. I like the way he sells. Bailey really dug deep to show that he could be in a main event as far as I'm concerned. This, for me, was my favorite match on the show. He went for that Ultimo weapon and just, slams those knees into the mat. Obviously, the psychology of Tanahashi working the knee, helped with that story. And Mike Bailey was so close on that backslide pin, but you knew that Tanahashi wasn't going to lose this. He hit his big frog splash for the win. I liked it. I liked this match, but maybe I was just excited because I knew that the show was going to be over soon. I don't mean to be mean or anything like that, but I've got a big weekend ahead of me. Juicy Boy, what did you think of the main event?
It is indeed a huge weekend ahead of us. But yeah, as you know, I've been a big fan of Mike Bailey for a long time. I think Hiroshi Tanahashi is just, like a great specimen of manhood. I mean, I love that his entire gimmick is basically that he's a sick cunt, and that's what the gimmick is. And pretty much that's all I was able to gather that there was about the character, that, hey, I'm just like a cool cunt, basically.
Yeah.
And I dig it. I'll be honest with you, I dig it. I thought that there was, as you said, an interesting dynamic between these two. You had the dichotomy between Mike Bailey, that's kind of the light heavyweight martial arts influence. Then you've got Hiroshi Tanahashi, that Japanese strong style with the flamboyancy and the kind of the panache that some of those Japanese performers are known for. I like that this had a big fight feel. They treated it like it was important. Both guys acted as though it was a big deal. I agreed with you. I think the Asai moonsault was the moment where business picked up for me. I loved Mike Bailey selling the knee. I loved the fact that a lot of his maneuvers, when it comes down to it, because he uses such high vertical leaps and relies on a lot of flips and landing on the soles of his feet, you can see how basically everything in his repertoire becomes painful for him to do the more damage that knee takes. And so I thought, very simple story, but absolutely perfect. And, honestly, it's in no way am I making a direct comparison, but Mike Bailey is, in many ways, I feel as though he's almost a current generation's answer to somebody like a Rob Van Dam, in that there's nobody in wrestling quite today that can quite do what Mike Bailey does. It's the way his matches are structured, the way he wrestles, the things that he does, the bumps that he takes. It's all completely unique to Mike Bailey. And whenever I watch him wrestle, I'm like, fuck, I feel like I would be fucked up if I was hit with that move that he just did. The same way I feel when I watch a Rob Van Dam or a Tajiri or someone like a Super Crazy. People that are just tremendous wrestlers, but also you just think, fucking hell, these guys are intense. I get that vibe from Mike Bailey, even though he's got that, but the nice guy persona that he has over the top of that almost makes it more menacing. Just how vile he is with his kicks and so forth. So yeah, I loved it. And I gave it, let's consult the notes, an A-. So there you go.
Wow. Maybe you need to give Mike Bailey a kiss or something, mate.
Well, maybe I need to give it a DJ. Juicy Boy.
Can you get the finger point into the fucking screen? Just like that.
Juicy
Just
Boy
like that.
recommendation.
Fucking hell. You're the one that invented it.
Well, because you keep on fucking getting into my head about it and ruining my fucking flow. This has got a Juicy Boy recommendation. Go out of your way to check it out because I can't do it justice. It's a fucking sick match.
You're not doing the point properly. It's just supposed to be like that. Right? Yeah, just like that. Just like that. Like a gun on a 45-degree angle. Juicy Boy recommendation. Go out of the way and check it out because I can't do it fucking justice. Very good, bro. Well, there we have it. Our review here of Impact NJPW Multiverse United. Juicy Boy, it's time for your final rating out of 10.
I gave this event an 8 out of 10. I had
8.
Quite a good time watching it. Yeah, honestly, I thought the multi-man matches were a bit much, but I had fun watching it. I was really invested in the Jeff Cobb Moose matches and the main event, and
your love of Mike Bailey.
Yeah, and I actually quite liked the X Division opener because I'd seen the pre-show before that, so I was coming off quite a milquetoast singles match when I watched it.
Very good, bro. Well, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10.
Ooh.
Look, I'm sorry. I felt a little bit bored. Moose and Jeff Cobb made me feel a bit better. Then I got a little bit bored. Then I got really annoyed. Then it got a little bit better. Then and last match was all pretty good, but it was a little bit of a roller coaster ride of boredom and excitement. So thank you, Juicy Boy, for your time.
Yeah, you're very welcome, my friend, and thank all of you for joining us here on our review of New Japan Pro Wrestling crossing over with Impact Wrestling, and I can't remember what the tagline is other than the word multiverse.
Multiverse United.
There it is. This is the second of many shows that we are going to be covering here for WrestleMania weekend, sassafras.
Yeah.
And I'm Juicy Boy.
Yeah, I know you are. And I'm California, and we'll see you all down the road. Thank you.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA network.